but it's, I would say, more of an electric rock tomb, right? With nice same type attack bonus attached to it.
Yeah, it's not like, you know, having one of those, like Icy Wind, except with the electric type. So it's pretty cool. It's I don't know if it's a move I think should be seen more, but I'm glad that, you know, an innovative use of it was found. It's one of those moves that I feel like when I've been team building over the years, I've looked at quite a few times, like, no, this is too crazy. But I'm glad it's not. Like, it's the sort of thing I love seeing pop up at the World Championships.
Well, looks like both of our players are actually on screen here. We got an interesting one. This is actually big. I was just about to mention how interested I was in seeing this. I think that is. I think we got on the left here. Maybe is that Flejo over there on the left side?
I can.
We're not sure. I think it's either that's maybe Tobias over there, but it's going to be a really, really good one. This is a big match for both of these players, I think. Now, Scott, do you actually know the record of them coming into this one? Because this has got to be getting close to the end.
Yeah, I believe there are 4-1s. I would assume so based on that record, because you'd have to be very creative to find a way to get 2 losses on your record with only 3 game losses. So most likely looking at 4-1s here. So they're actually in really good shape. You know, if they win this round, they have a very good chance of making it to the top cut, even if they lose the final round, because the resistance will be very high. So this will be a big round here. And also, the first time I've ever had a Mexican player on stream, so I'm kind of excited for that.
Oh, no, that's great. I love the diversity, obviously, of people left in day 2. That's absolutely huge. And it looks like a lot of countries have a representative doing very, very well at this point. We saw German players going to the end. We've seen Japanese players going to the end. We have a player from Mexico, and I know there's got to be some good old U.S. players out there.
Yeah, you might be surprised there, Justin.
Oh, no, please, don't tell me that, Scott. Jeez Louise, man.
Yeah, a little bit of an off year for the United States, but, you know, cool to get Mexico. We've, you know, kind of added that region this year with South America and Mexico. So pretty nice. You're getting the variety going.
And it does look like we actually have Tobias there on the left, and I hope I'm saying this right. Genaro, is that it? Or Genaro, I think, on the right here. Now, we got to talk about teams. Obviously, that's a big part of this. Tobias, actually, who you cannot see on screen right now, has a Tyranitar, Milotic, Salamence, Amoonguss, Heath Rotom, and an Aegislash here. Now, a couple similar Pokemon, again, over on the team of Genaro there. It's going to be a Salamence, Aegislash, Terrakion, Thundurus, Venusaur, but a Volcarona, which we haven't seen, I don't think, too much here.
Yeah, I can't say I know much about the esteemed Mexican metagame, but there's a bunch of really cool Pokemon on this team. You know, even Mega Venusaur and normal Venusaur, for that matter, like things we really haven't seen much of lately. And Volcarona, we've only really seen this season paired with Kangaskhan. Typically, you know, you'll see Kangaskhan use Fake Out so that Volcarona can Quiver Dance. Most likely using a different sort of strategy on this team, but I really like both of those Pokemon, so I'm kind of hoping to see them. I feel like I've been bad luck rooting for obscure Fire-type Pokemon so far this weekend, so I apologize if I've just cursed this Volcarona, but...
Scott's favorite team, 7 Arcanines.
I didn't say you couldn't do that in the video. So.
That's true. I didn't say you couldn't.
You didn't see even a single Arcanine in the ban list. Boom.
Oh, there it is. That's what I like to hear. All right, we get the leads here from both of our trainers. It looks like for our trainer on the top screen there, it is going to be a Volcarona Terrakion here, and for Tobias on the bottom, it is going to be the Salamence as well as Tyranitar, who will most likely be setting up that Sandstorm.
Yeah, well, I mean, ignoring the Volcarona, which I'm not rooting for, but excited to see. I mean, I think this is a kind of a tricky situation for both sides. There's a lot of different items these Pokemon could be holding. Terrakion, you know, if it has a Focus Sash, it complicates things. Volcarona, also a Pokemon something that holds Focus Sash, though it's not going to be especially effective with the Sandstorm blowing here.
No,
Tyranitar often holds Choice Scarf. You know, it wouldn't be unheard of for one of these Pokemon to have Choice Scarf as well, since there's not a really clear user of that item on Genaro's team, so tricky turn.
It looks like we see the switch out here for Tobias into that Milotic and a Protect from Tyranitar here, maybe leaving Genaro open for some serious damage, maybe into that slot, but Milotic really able to take that, maybe knowing about that Hidden Power Ice there. Maybe that's what Volcarona's set, got that Hidden Power Ice. We do see the Berry going to go ahead and I believe raise the special defense there, I think, of the Milotic.
Yeah, I love it. The Moringa Berry, and an item we see too much of, but it started to pick up popularity toward the end of the year since it's naturally a very strong Pokemon on the special defensive side. Pretty cool to see that activate. Another thing that was cool to see that turn is that's a very fast bug with Volcarona moving before Terrakion. Unless this is a particularly slow Terrakion, which I don't think I've ever seen before. Very likely that there's a Choice Scarf on that Volcarona. So I'm kind of seeing, you know, if you're not using Quiver Dance, what are you doing with Volcarona?
Yeah.
You know, against many opponents, probably that was a surprise knockout on Landorus, but not so lucky this battle with nothing free for Volcarona to take.
And it does appear that there maybe was an attack into the Tyranitar slot there, not taking any damage here. We see the switch out onto Volcarona now for Genaro there on the top screen, and into a Thunderous. Definitely checks that Milotic here, and a switch for Tobias as well into Rotom now, and it is of course the Heat Rotom here, and a Rock Slide will do some decent damage to the Heat Rotom, of course being super effective there. Will Milotic attack there? No, I think we see the flinch of the Milotic. How unfortunate for Tobias there on the bottom screen.
Yeah, the flinch is unfortunate, but I do love Terrakion switching to Rock Slide there. It realizes his opponent's not just going to give him Tyranitar for free. He close combated to the Protect the previous turn. This time, instead of just taking close combat, which I guess also would have done pretty good damage, he gets that Rock Slide off, gets great damage to Rotom on the switch, weakens Milotic and prevents it from attacking. So Rock Slide really doing everything it can do there. Also important to weaken that Milotic. Normally it might be in range from a Thunderbolt from Thundurus here, but it's very unlikely it is in this battle because of that Berry activation. Yes. However, a combination of Rock Slide, Thunderbolt probably going to get the job done if Rock Slide doesn't miss. So important damage there, even though it was probably more for the flinch than anything else.
And we do see another Rock Slide here. We'll do a lot of damage to this Rotom, who manages to hang on in the yellow there. Rotom going to go ahead and get its Citrus Berry. Should be back up to very, very close to 50% here, almost to the green there. And there it is. Oh, a Thunderbolt into that Milotic slot. Will it be enough there? No! Milotic hanging on with 3 hit points left. Absolutely incredible. The Will-O-Wisp now going into the slot of the Thundurus. They're going to do some chip damage here. And what we get from Milotic finally making it through that with a nice Scald into the Terrakion. Can it attach a burn is the question. Unfortunately, no. And Terrakion seeing the benefits of that Sandstorm.
Yeah, it makes it quite a bit stronger against special attacks, and not even taken to half by that Scald as poor Milotic goes down to the sand. Yep. I really do see the power of the Berry there, though. I was kind of expecting it to go down to that Thunderbolt. And
I was really impressed.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we see Assault Vest in Milotic to give it that special defense boost, but it's pretty cool to see it come from the Berry instead, because that enables it to still use non-attacking moves, especially Recover, so you can use that special defense boost, stay in the battle, or get knocked out by Rock Slide, like what happened here.
We do see the switch back into Salamence here, who's fired off another Intimidate. I think that Terrakion now might be down 2 stages, because I think we did see the lead of Salamence early on in the matchup here. Thunder is not really going to be affected by that, but does actually reduce its attack by 1 stage as well.
Yeah, even though there's 2 Pokemon weak to Rock type attacks, it's going to be tough for Terrakion to get too much done, but what really wants to happen for Genaro's side here is to try to switch out and get a paralysis on that Salamence and then bring Terrakion back in later. So having to switch Terrakion out here probably suits him just fine. However, we know one of the remaining Pokemon is Volcarona, who really doesn't want to switch into anything from Salamence here. So still a turn where Genaro's going to need to be careful, but he's got a great lead.
Yeah, you're exactly right there, Scott. We do see the Mega coming out here now for Tobias there on the bottom screen. And let's see what attacks we get from both of our trainers here. Protecting now, I believe, that Salamence, who's definitely threatened here. Double Protect even from Tobias, maybe trying to just get a scout onto these Pokemon here from Genaro.
Yeah, he finds out what moves Genaro's using, and, I guess he could have knocked out Terrakion's Protect, kind of expected to see one there, but we didn't. Unfortunately, he also loses his own Protect, so now he loses the way to stop Salamence from just getting paralyzed for free here. Definitely makes this next turn much more complicated, because he could switch Salamence, but doing so would be pretty dangerous and also get his remaining Pokemon paralyzed. It kind of makes things easier for Genaro. I don't know if I understand the double protect there, but he did get information. Yeah,
that can be always crucial in this in these type of matchups, just knowing what your opponent might do. It'll be interesting to see the speed of this Salamence here with that Thunderous definitely threatening a potential Hidden Power Ice.
Yeah, definitely.
And actually going for the Thunder Wave here, trying to slow down the Salamence there of Tobias. Oh my gosh, I think we see the full paralysis there. Unfortunately, cannot move here in the Rock Slide. Going to go ahead and hit. I think Rotom will be able to hang on with that double Intimidate and doing an okay amount of damage, almost taking Salamence down to about 50% there, and doesn't look like anything from Rotom. Maybe saw a flinch on that one.
Yeah, Rotom's, I guess that team in general, having a hard time attacking against this Terrakion, but a little bit surprised these Salamence willing to allow itself to be paralyzed all of a sudden, like I mentioned. Impressive to survive the Rock Slide, but even if Rotom had gotten a burn off in this Terrakion or something, anything. It just seems like the turns remaining in the battle are limited. Also, we do see the Thunder Wave, like you mentioned, not the hidden power. I think that's the better play either way, but one bit of information that I'd want to get on Tobias' side here is whether or not hidden power is on this Thunderous.
Yeah, we might find out right here as the Rotom ends up fainting, but Salamence still in play. However, very, very slow at this point. We will see the Thunderous move first, and it is actually a Thunderbolt, so no reveal there, and has enough power to actually take out the Salamence at almost 50%, and a little bit of burn damage going on to that Thunderous from that Rotom burn earlier.
It's a big knockout there, but it'll almost seal game one for Genaro, and also has the advantage of, since Thunderbolt got that knockout, it doesn't look like you're hiding anything there, because, well, I get the knockout with Thunderbolt anyway. It's not like one of those situations where, they're at about 100% and you Thunderbolt them to like, a third of their, like 2/3 of their health. Sometimes it's like, no, I might have hidden power, I just decided not to use it for some reason.
I'll never reveal my fourth move, never! So we get the switch back into Tyranitar here, who is the final remaining Pokemon for Tobias, and who decides to run away at this point, not revealing any more information from his own team, but also not gaining any more information. I don't know if there was much more to give from Genaro at that point.
Probably not. I mean, I think usually when you're Tyranitar against Terrakion, running away is one of your better choices. Unfortunately, that does add a loss to the record for Tobias there, but I think he's probably going to go back to game two, and kind of much like we saw in the last series, regardless of that first game, just going to refocus, figure out what you need to do in the next game, and I think this next game will probably look very different. I think one thing that's kind of difficult about this series is that since we haven't had like a long history of players from Mexico, you're not quite sure what to expect, right? The regional metagame of every country and every region is a little bit different.
Yes,
and,
of course.
There's really not there's nothing to compare to, right? There's not like, well, remember last year. There is no last year, right? So probably the feeling out process here is just a little bit more awkward than usual.
Yeah, definitely, Sky. I agree with you there. It's now this next match is going to be an interesting one there. I do feel like Tobias is going to have to pick the threats and really find a way to deal with them. Most likely that Terrakion that we saw kind of running wild there. It seems like even 2 Intimidates was just not enough to do the job.
Yeah, it didn't seem like it. I'm kind of surprised, too. You think of Terrakion typically as a Pokemon that gets brought to help deal with Kangaskhan teams. No Kangaskhan here, but Terrakion still just totally ran over the battle. Definitely something he's going to want to control a little bit better. He actually has really good tools to deal with it. He has both Amoonguss and Aegislash and a Pokemon with Intimidate, so it just kind of picked like exactly the lineup that would give him problems with Terrakion. We'll probably see some changes here.
Yeah, and unfortunately that Scald not doing nearly as much damage maybe as expected, unfortunately, with that Sandstorm up there, giving a little bit of a boost, I think, to the special defense of that Terrakion. But of course, the flinch game comes into play at all times. It's a one move difference, and if I had just hit through that flinch, would the game be different? Of course, but we'll find out right now what Tobias can do to maybe mitigate that. We see the Amoonguss, like you said, Scott, there, and the Salamence lead there, firing off Intimidates, and on the top, we got Thunderous and Terrakion for Genaro.
Yeah, all right, so we see, I think, a good adjustment on Tobias' side. It gets that Intimidate off again. Amoonguss, a Pokemon he didn't bring in the first game, is definitely going to be helpful in this matchup if he sees similar Pokemon. So I think he's kind of evened things out a little bit. One thing that didn't happen in the first game was Tobias figuring out what Mega Pokemon Genaro brought, so he doesn't have anything to go off of. We never saw that fourth Pokemon. I can almost guarantee it was Salamence or Venusaur, but it's kind of a big deal which is which, because now you have no idea what he was thinking the first time to try to plan off of. If it is, I guess both of those Pokemon are pretty good against Amoonguss, which is probably why it wasn't brought the first game, but a good adjustment either way. It's just something he's going to have to deal with to try and control Terrakion a little bit better.
Both players taking to the final seconds here to make their, will they lock in a move is the question. You never want to let it choose a random one. That could be tough. We get the switch out here on that Terrakion, not looking to take any damage here, and a nice Intimidate going off into these two Pokemon. Didn't get to see a lot from Salamence last time here, so maybe we will actually get a move off for Tobias here, who decides to go Mega, and that Thunderous out here, will it get a chance to Thunder Wave, or is it going to have to go ahead and get that Rage Powder going? Let's see what we get. It's actually a taunt and a nice call, going to shut down that Amoonguss potentially here, and the Hyper Voice, so a special Salamence there, doing a ton of damage to the Salamence of Genaro on the top screen here, and a Giga Drain, so a great prediction there for Tobias, doubling up into that slot, but not quite doing enough damage to get rid of any Pokemon.
Yeah, Amoonguss not really doing anything with the Giga Drain there, but better than doing literally nothing by getting taunted, so the right play probably, unless he had a safe switch there, but they didn't really do anything. The big deal, of course, is Salamence Mega evolving first and getting that Hyper Voice off onto the enemy Salamence. He still has to worry about getting paralyzed by Thunder Wave like in the last last game. But Mega Evolving first increases the base speed when you Mega Evolve. So even if that other Salamence had been trained in more speed, it's almost definitely slower now until the turn after it Mega Evolves, which makes things a little bit safer for Tobias here. There's a lot of temptation for Genaro to protect now, which would allow him to do the same thing and dodge the Thunder Wave for a turn.
Yeah, is potentially going to want to, as we see the switch into Tyranitar now, who's going to set up that Sandstorm, and hopefully will aid him a little bit more in this battle than it did last time here, fainting his own Milotic, I think, at the end there. We do see the Mega Salamence now coming out for Genaro on the top screen. And we're going to get some moves from these trainers here. Of course, the Protect, like predicted, Scott. They're not looking to get Thunder Waved here. And we see the potential safe switch into Tyranitar. No, he's going to take a little bit, and by a little bit I mean almost 50% damage here, but suffering some recoil there is Salamence, who goes down into the red and takes a little damage from that Sandstorm. It's getting really close to fainting here, and everyone's going to take a little bit of damage except for Tyranitar there.
And Tyranitar doing more damage with Sandstorm than anything else so far. But a little bit surprised to see that double edge. I think that's kind of one thing I'm picking up from Genaro. It's not like his Pokemon aren't able to protect, but he just doesn't seem to favor protecting or switching too much.
No. Why do that when you can hit stuff hard?
Yeah, you got to knock all the Pokemon out to win the game, right? Just got to attack right now, every turn.
Exactly. This one going a little bit faster, actually. Last time we were getting actually pretty close to the wire there with that one, but you see each trainer really doing some damage here, and we're probably going to see a couple feints coming up on this next turn.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. It's a big, important turn for Genaro here. Good to see him taking a little more time to think. He's going to be careful. Salamence only has 2 turns at best left, and I want you to get the most out of him with your Mega Pokemon.
And it looks like we do see the switch out here. No free Thunder Waves, like you said there, Scott. Into an Aegislash, who won't necessarily mind a Thunder Wave, but actually the switch from Genaro as well on the top screen there. Again, like we said, representing, I believe, Germany and Mexico. Respectively there, and we get the big old Draco Meteor into that Aegislash slot, who's able to really eat it up, and the special attack will fall from that Salamence, lowering it by 2 stages here, and here comes the Rock Slide. Salamence will not like that, but Terrakion should be able to take it like a boss there, hanging on in the green.
Yeah, nice job there. Gets the Salamence off the field, and I'm glad to see Aegislash as well. I think that was a really good adjustment. As one of the Pokemon I was kind of hoping to see Tobias bring this game. Definitely help him with Terrakion, as well as some of the other Pokemon he's been having trouble with, really. Does a pretty good job against Salamence, so he's not going to have to worry about that this game. Also important to see now that we have Salamence still remaining on one side but not the other. It's going to make things a little bit tricky since it's the fastest Pokemon, barring the Choice Scarf we've already seen in Volcarona. And since both these Pokemon can protect, and there's only 3 Pokemon left on the side of Genaro, it's going to be pretty tough to get too much done with that Choice Scarf. I think Volcarona is not a Pokemon that's like a great move to lock into. I guess if you've got a variety of opponents remaining, because of the, it doesn't have a lot of moves that aren't resisted by many types, I guess. So it could be tricky here. You kind of want to use the Bug move in Tyranitar. You want to use the Fire move for Aegislash. Salamence, use Hidden Power. So a really great core of Pokemon left to deal with this poor bug.
And Aegislash in shield form here, I don't think will mind an attack and can really threaten that Terrakion on this one. So it's going to be a really interesting turn for Genaro there, who seems to be a little bit behind right now in the match. We get the Protect from Tyranitar now. Not looking to take any damage here, especially from something like a close combat. And it's actually a double Protect, essentially, with that King Shield down there on the bottom for Tobias, getting a little bit of move information.
A simple turn, I think, on the side of Tobias there. You pretty much have to double protect in the choice item, see what it's locked into, and work from there. I think the only thing you can really do to do anything about it, Genaro's side, is just kind of be cheeky and show Volcarona and switch immediately and burn the protects. But even doing that, you end up in a situation where, well, now I have to close combat this Tyranitar slot while leaving my Terrakion open to just getting glomped by Aegislash the next turn, while Salamence probably comes in and takes the close combat. Just a really tough spot for Genaro. Volcarona is probably really cool early in battles, but at this point it's kind of a liability, and Aegislash protecting Tyranitar here is going to be a great thing for Tobias to stay in good position. That was an excellent choice between games there, realizing you should bring Aegislash to this matchup.
Yeah, it does look like Tobias definitely has a safe, not necessarily safe, nothing's ever really safe in Pokemon, right, but does have the safer move choice right here as we see the switch into that Salamence that you predicted there earlier. And if it does take a close combat, it won't be the end here. We'll do some okay damage, but will be resisted by that flying typing. And we do get a Mungus here on the right now. Looks like a pretty decent amount of damage here from the Volcarona. Oh, a risky switch. Interesting move there, trading in a Pokemon that's also weak to fire there. Lets the Amoonguss go ahead and faint here, but does get the Salamence in, who's taking a close combat, but really does manage to eat that one up.
Yeah, I kind of realized he had to give up something there, and Amoonguss not too important against any of the remaining Pokemon, so a pretty good sacrifice. Also kind of cool to see Volcarona's attack there. That'd be Fiery Dance, a move that you don't see too frequently. I'm actually getting Worlds 2012 PTSD from that, because that was where one of my Swiss losses came.
Scott,
still don't think it's a good move.
Scott, it's okay, Scott. It's okay. We were going to go ahead and see another Pokemon come back in here for Tobias. Tyranitar, of course, making its way back onto the field here. And Salamence now being in a pretty decent position, knowing Volcarona's maybe locked into that Fiery Dance.
Yeah, I mean, it can deal with Volcarona pretty well. Terrakion out as that close combat drop is much safer for Salamence to try to deal with, and we haven't seen most of Salamence's moves as well, so it could be a variety of moves he has here, depending on kind of what his bonus move is.
Definitely. The switch now for Genaro. There goes the Hyper Voice, doing a decent amount of damage here on that Terrakion, who had his defense lowered here in Thundurus. Going to go ahead and get a little bit of health back from that Citrus Berry now, taking a lot of damage as well on that one. And I think we do see an avoid there from one of the Pokemon there for Tobias, whose Tyranitar doesn't take any damage on that Rock Slide, but wow, Salamence hanging in there in a Rock Slide right back. Oh my gosh, the power of Tyranitar with the same type attack boosted. Rock Slide does a ton of damage to Thundurus and actually manages to pick up the feint there, and we did see Salamence outspeed, so this Terrakion's time might be limited.
Could be, but Volcarona's got to come back in now, and if the Choice Scarf Volcarona is quick, or even a Fire type attack will be able to knock out the Salamence. You've got close combat going into the Tyranitar slot, so unless Aegislash can come in and take a Fire type attack, it's possible to pull this one off, though I guess a Protected and Aegislash switch now would be very bad for Genaro unless he predicts it, which would require him to make a very risky play, to say the least, but a really well-played game so far by Tobias. I really like how he adjusted that first game, and cool to see Hyper Voice as well. We see a double-edged Draco Meteor and Protect in almost every Salamence, but that last move, Hyper Voice, Earthquake, sometimes a Fire-type move, it varies a lot, so kind of see the difference in strategies that some trainers are using.
Yeah, we definitely do it. Like we said before, it's all going to depend on the way that the Pokemon can be so diverse. You can run one Pokemon 10 different ways. It can be trained different ways or have different movesets as both of our players actually lock in here. It's going to be, I think, Fiery Dance again there for Volcarona there. Oh, and manages to pick up the feint here, locking itself in, but getting a little bit of a boost there. And we see this Salamence feint. No, why Salamence? And oh, there it is, deciding not to protect, actually taking a huge close combat. Wow, and that is going to be what a huge play for Genaro there, and Tobias left with one final Pokemon that I think was not the movie. It's going to be that Aegislash.
Yes, right, yeah. I mean, I realized we miscalled it before. So Overheat the first time, Fiery Dance this time. That may be why Tobias allowed that to happen, probably thinking, Overheat's going to lower Volcarona's special attack, and it'll be easy to take the attack with Aegislash. Instead now, boosted special attack, though. Maybe it can still survive. We're going to have to see.
And there goes the Fiery Dance again into the Aegislash shot. Oh my gosh, and Volcarona showing his power. Not even a critical hit. Are you kidding me? Genaro manages to take the 2 out of 3 set there and gives a big thumbs up to the crowd, and he is excited, playing very well here. Both trainers not in the worst position, I believe, going 4-1 in that match, and now 5-1 for Genaro, 4-2 I think for Tobias.
Yeah, that was a pretty impressive performance. Volcarona dancing all the way to victory there, and it's especially considering Tobias only lost 3 games that series, and getting 0-2'd like that, pretty shocking. Especially we get unknown player here, so Genaro certainly making a name for himself, and really fantastic game. A lot of fun to watch. He had some cool Pokemon there. That Volcarona, that's something we see very frequently.
No, not at all.
It looked like for most of the series, this Volcarona's not going to really do anything, and then all of a sudden at the end, just pop 2 quick knockouts, and actually 3 quick knockouts, and close the game up for him. So pretty impressive.
Yeah, and actually interesting sometimes when you see those 2 moves on there, right? We saw the Fiery Dance, and so having 2 fire attacks there was kind of interesting. Sometimes you want to have more coverage, but it looked like it paid off for Genaro there.
Yeah, especially because neither of which were Heat Wave. You think you've got 2 fire moves, you're going to pick the spread attack Heat Wave as one of the 2. I kind of like that he didn't, just because it gave him an interesting option as far as, you've got that big single target attack with Overheat if you need to attack like one target quickly, or you've got Fiery Dance where you can kind of if you have to stay on the field longer, you avoid weakening yourself.
And it looks like we're actually jumping into another game here, Scott. We got Daiki Moriyama going against Shoma Itonami. So it looks like potentially two Japanese players here going head-to-head with Daiki in the lead by one game right now.